We're going to understand your children's perception and how it actually works. And we're going to explore a little bit and see how you feel about it and whether it stems from your childhood or not. So when I talk about perception, we're talking about perceiving. So that's seeing, smelling, hearing, feeling. Perception is our senses taking in information around us. We take in the information and then we feel something based on that information that we just received. And we interpret it. We can receive noises or sounds. I can hear someone talk to me and say, "Hi, how are you today?" but they're not smiling. And then I can I can hear they said hi, but I can see they're not smiling. And maybe that is going to make me feel uncomfortable if I come from a culture that usually smiles. Or maybe that is going to make me feel a little bit odd because it reminds me of someone in my childhood, say my father, who never smiled. It will trigger an emotion because now I'm perceiving something, I'm taking it in, and I'm feeling something. We adults, what we do is once we felt something, we now can decide how to react. We can reflect on that feeling of whatever we perceived and can decide what the action is. Do I want to answer back and say, "I'm fine, thank you"? Do I want to, if I know you enough, I can say, "Are you okay?" I can decide how I'm going to react to what I'm perceiving. Children, on the other hand, aside from being quite sensitive, or more sensitive than the average adult, they lack life experience. What that means is they've been on this planet a much shorter time than we have been. So this life experience is limited. They don't really have the reflection back to see, what does this mean? I just perceived this happen. What does it mean? So they jump immediately sometimes to action based on what they feel. They don't reflect back. And this is what I'm going to talk about today. So we'll start with talking about a scenario. And I'm just going to simplify the scenario, make it a little bit funny so that we can go from there. Say dad comes home from work. That's a scenario actually that I have in the book. And dad walks into the house and he's just in a tired mood, or he doesn't greet anyone. He just rushes in, walks in, gets into the room and shuts the door. The mother in this scenario can think, "Oh my goodness, he must have had a really bad day. Let me go check on him, make him a cup of tea and see what's going on." Or she could have a different reaction, but let's say that is her feeling or emotion based on what she has now perceived. The little child might think something completely else. He might just perceive it. Well, dad walked in, he didn't say hello, he went into another room and he shut the door. Oh my goodness, dad doesn't love me anymore, or dad is angry with me and my mom. Dad doesn't want to be here. So he'll go to bed a little bit anxious. If the child goes to sleep feeling worried and anxious for whatever he has perceived, the next morning, when everything is okay, mom had checked on dad was fine but had a difficult evening, he's calmed down, all is well. Next day, mom and dad wake up, child is acting out, and both parents are puzzled. Why is my child acting that way? What is going on? Why is he throwing a tantrum? Why is he acting so anxious? This would be because of his perception and the way he interpreted what happened in front of him. So I'm going to take it a step back and talk a little bit about us as adults, because this is really, really important in this scenario before I reflect on how a child sees something and acts upon what he sees. If I go back to the scenario that I just said right now, the mother had the choice to think, my husband is really tired, something is really up, I feel so sorry for him, I wonder what's going on. I choose to go make him a cup of tea and I choose to go check on him. This is what the mother interprets from his behavior, right? And so this is what she's going to do. But another mother or the same mother might have a completely different reaction to that. The father comes in, same scenario, he walks in and shuts the door and he's upset, and she might immediately have a panic. What happened? What is going on? Something is wrong. We're in a new country. Now what? Something at work? Did he get fired? Did something happen to someone in the family back home? And she can go into panic. She can go into his room and start panicking about what's going on. And then now you have a down, exhausted parent and a panicked parent. Doesn't make for the best outcome. The mom could also have another reaction. It could be neither this one or the one I just mentioned. She could just simply get angry and think, what is this? You don't walk into the house and not greet anyone. You haven't seen me and your son all day, and now you're going to come in like this and just shut the door. So this is another reaction that she could have. Then after feeling these emotions based on the thoughts, which will always match, because the thought that the mom will have or the adult will have will always match the feeling. It is never, ever, it is not possible to have a thought and a different feeling. It's not possible to be angry and feel happy, right? Think angry thoughts and feel happy. It's not possible. It's not possible to think sad things and feel absolutely enthusiastic about something. They usually match. So if the mom thought that third scenario, I'm really angry, he walked in like this is disrespectful, this is rude, I am stressed, I had a long day with the kids, this is a new country, and she feels really now horrible because she's worked herself up with her emotions, she might now take it to the final step, and that is the intention and the action to walk into the room, open the door, and start screaming at him, what is this? You don't walk in like that. You don't greet anyone. I don't like this, and so on. And this could turn into a big conflict. So you see, these are different scenarios. I'm really, really simplifying it because I want you just to see how everyone can choose, in this case, this one person can choose the behavior and the action she wants to take based on what she's feeling. She can go back and forth and reflect. It could be that initially he walks in and she thinks, what is this? He didn't say hi and whatever, and then correct herself. Hang on a second. Let me calm down. This may not be the scenario. This may be something I'm just overreacting. It reminds me of my dad when I was little and how we were treated in our family. This may be something from it's a bruise. I'm feeling something that is probably stemming from my culture or my background or my dad or some hurt or some ex-partner. I'm just gonna calm down and I'm going to help him feel better first. And then we can talk about how it would be best to come into the house when you're upset. Let me first take care of him. I choose to do this. So this is a process of seeing or receiving information, thinking a thought, feeling something that matches that thought, and then going and doing something that matches the feeling. So taking it into an action. And this process, as adults, we can do really, really well. And I hope that most parents can do this really well. If it is something that you notice is really difficult for you, please try to look back into your past and try to see, is there something in my past that makes me triggered when I perceive the following scenario? And it can be any scenario. It could be that your child fiddles around a lot. It could be that your child doesn't listen immediately. It could be that your husband is always late. It could be anything that pushes on your feelings and it makes you feel very uncomfortable, because if you look at it from a bigger perspective, you can see that some people take no offense at all and they don't even get irritated by certain actions. Meanwhile, other people can really take offense and get irritated. I, for example, can be around children who are crying and screaming for hours, and it does not bother me the least bit. If anything, it makes me happy and it makes me giggle. It reminds me of children playing in my childhood. It reminds me of my cousins and my siblings. It reminds me of my dad's summer house and the noise. I love it. Even when children are crying, even when a baby is crying, I find it adorable and cute. I think, how can such a little baby be so angry? And so I come in with this positive energy to pick up the baby, cuddle and giggle and laugh. A negative emotion from the child, that's -1. A positive emotion from me, that's +1, should help take us to neutral, that's 0, should help calm down this baby, and should help deal with the situation faster. I can even take it up a level and start playing with a crying baby and laugh. And then the baby slowly starts giggling and laughing with me. But another person in my place might not be in the situation because this other person is not me. Different personality, different patience, different background. Maybe this person has very bad memories of being left alone to cry at night. Maybe this person remembers his siblings being left in the crib crying at night. Whatever the memory is, for some reason, when they're around crying babies, they react really negatively. Or when they're around loud children, they get very irritated. And then again, that's a question of why is that so? And once we know why that is so, or at least we acknowledge that it's from our past, we are then able to reflect better and understand why we are feeling that way. Now that explained about adults, I'm going to go into children. And I'm going to talk deeper about children. So we said there's perception first, and that's what we see here happening. So let's say a child is playing with his sibling, with his brother, and his brother came and took the ball out of his hand. He's playing outside with the ball, and his older brother came and grabbed the ball to play, and he pulled it away. So this is now going to be perception. He has perceived, this 4-year-old, that his brother walked over, grabbed the ball, and started playing. There should be step number 2 to interpret what's happening, and step number 3, which is the emotion that will come, and then there's the intention that we adults have about what to do. Shall I do that or not do that? And then there's the action. A child will not take all this route down to action. They will often go from perception and jump immediately to emotion. And from emotion, they will go directly to action. So you yank the ball out of my hand, that really upsets me, and I am going to scream so loud, or I am going to chase after you and get that ball and kick you. So it's an immediate action. There's no stopping, there's no reflecting, there is no intention, there's nothing. They, like I said, because of a limited life experience, they cannot really go much further to think, oh, this could be that, or this could be this, or my brother might have had a bad day and I should share the ball. They just are most of the time unable to do this. Our gift to our children, well, the most important thing that we owe our children is for them to see us happy and living our life to its best, and show them and role model it. But our gift to our children, our real gift, is happiness. Happiness is our gift to our family and children. And I say that because if we watch our children do this perception, emotion, and action, and catch it in the moment and walk over to the child and try to explain that we can see this differently and we can choose to think something else, because if we think something else, we will feel something else. And when we feel something else, we might not do the same action. So we can walk them through it. This I recommend so extremely much to any parent out there and to any educator out there, school, sports, everywhere. When you catch your child stuck in a scenario where they saw something, felt something, and they moved immediately to the action, instead of immediately criticizing the action and stopping the child from doing what they're doing, approach them, halt everything, and ask what just happened. Ask the child, how do you feel? What just happened? So the little one can tell you, I was playing here with the blocks, and when I was building this castle, Emily, my friend, came and kicked it down and broke everything. So that's why he wants to hit Emily. Let's say I'm talking now about little young children, say, little children, say kindergarten age. So then we're going to talk and say, okay, Emily walked here and kicked the blocks. How did that make you feel? And he says, I'm so angry. And you can say, that's right, you can be really angry if someone kicked the blocks. But let's think for a minute here, why did Emily do that? Let's call Emily here and ask Emily. And if we call, and if you can have the other child there, that's great. So we can just ask the sibling or the friend what just happened from your point of view. Because they might say, I was irritated and I was angry because I had an argument with my mother or at school, or they might say something and apologize, and that would be great. Then we've solved it. But if you can pull that child over and talk with him or two children together and reflect on what happened, why did you do that? And let your child see that the other child had a reason for doing that, whether they were upset, irritated, didn't mean to, or meant to. Let's seek to understand before we are wanting to be understood. Let's see why. And once he listened to why, we can then say, okay, now this is why she did it. It was not okay to do it, but this is why it happened. Let's feel good that we talked about it. Let's feel sorry for Emily because she was having a bad day, and let's forgive Emily and let it go. And now she knows not to do it again. And we have now walked the child through steps. This is so extremely important because it also allows you to have an insight into the way that your child feels and thinks about certain actions, and also how he processes the information and how quickly he's processing it. You can't start young enough with this. Many children that are even in daycare, they may not fully understand what you're saying, but they're watching the gestures, they're watching how we are discussing things, and they're watching the emotion go up and down as we speak. For adults, it will be perception, and then based on that, there is the thought. The thought will then match the feeling. The feeling will then result in an intention to do something, and then we have the choice to really do what we intend or change that action and intention because we choose a different thought. So choosing our thoughts are as important as choosing our clothes in the morning. That's always what I tell the teachers and the children I work with. Teaching this to children is very important because children, again, repeating, go from perception to emotion to action. So we're going to teach the two steps that are in between. Okay, now I'm moving to the next part about here. And I'm going to talk about something important in regards to interpreting your child's actions. Often children might do things to get your attention. Children need attention as much as they need water, as much as they need sleep, as much as they need the air that they breathe. We all want attention. The thing with children is if they're not getting enough attention with positive behavior, they'll do anything to get the attention. So they'll lean towards negative attention. And when they start doing something negative and get a lot of attention, they'll continue doing the negative. So if you have a child who is always listening nicely and getting up, cleaning the table with mom, doing homework and going to bed and not receiving lots of compliments, being told, good job, you helped me clean, well done, you went to sleep on time, I like that you did your homework, that's so excellent. He's not getting much attention for that. And he then decides he's not going to help, he's going to nag, he's going to pull something, he's going to drop something, he's going to push his brother, he's going to do something to get your attention regardless of what that action is. And like I said, often they'll lean towards a negative action because when they do something negative, whether it's pushing another child or whether it's throwing something on the floor or whether they're just going to say, no, I'm not going to do it, or they're going to ignore what you said, if they get you to react and you really react, then they got your attention. And if that really worked so well, they might do it another time. And if that worked again so well, they'll do it another time. And then I get parents asking me, why does he keep doing that? I keep telling him to stop, and he just doesn't listen. And what I suggest is try as much as you can to ignore the unwanted behavior. Try to ignore the negative behavior and keep your focus as much as you can on positive behavior. So if your child walks from point A to B without kicking or nagging or doing anything, you can just say, Mike, I love how quiet you were. You went from here to here, you helped me with that. You didn't even say anything, you didn't even nag about it. Thank you very much, I really appreciate it. And then you got something. Now he's got attention and feedback on something that he's done that you just got, like catch him being good, find anything, and slowly he will start doing more and more of the things that you talk about and the things that you focus on, the things that you enthuse about, and the things that you praise for, because he wants your attention more than anything. Once this balance is right, and the positive behavior grows more and more, the negative will drop dramatically. Because the more you focus on the negative, the more negative you will get. And the more you focus on the positive, the more positive you will get. There is something that I often point out to parents in regards to children at school when you are moving from country to country. It's a lot of behavior that we as children display in classrooms because of the accumulated stress of moving, of losing friends from before, of missing home, of missing the weather, missing grandma and grandpa, missing the food, whatever it is. A child may not be able to articulate what he's missing. He just feels the missing and doesn't know what's wrong. He just feels the change and doesn't know what's wrong. There are so many new rules, there's so many new things, there's a new school and a new house and a new country and new friends, and he feels the stress and the impact of it, but he doesn't know what's wrong. When this happens, children will act out, and that is their stress simply coming out in different ways. It may be by not listening at school in class. It may be that they're daydreaming in class and not focusing. It may be that they're withdrawn. It may be that they're going to be way too much of an extrovert and go all over the place. Some children even resort to bullying. Whatever the matter is, we need to pay attention to it, but we also need to be really careful not to give something so much attention at home and at school, because it will feed the behavior more and more. For example, what I just mentioned, say a child in class is becoming really withdrawn and quiet and he's daydreaming. He's looking, it's the example that we have here in the slide. Daydreaming, he's not there, teacher talks to him, he doesn't answer, he's off somewhere. If he's doing this over and over and over, and it's getting the teacher to continuously correct him, and then the teacher told you this in a parent meeting, and then he starts to do it at home over and over, it's working. It's getting him attention. He's being noticed. If we can just for a minute stop and look at the child as a whole, complete person, and look at the entire journey of when did we move, what happened during the move, how often have we moved, what is this child dealing with, how old is he, and then we can look at how we want to treat this scenario. Just simply correcting a behavior because we see it as no good over and over and over, that the child uses it now to get attention, and the parents get scared. What is wrong with him? Why is he acting like that? What's happening? It's really important to just pay attention to understand the emotional reason behind why we people and little people, children, act the way that we do. And again, that goes back to emotions moving and stress and how we see and interpret and feel. As a parent, if you see your child struggling, take a moment to reflect on how you're feeling when you see him struggling. Of course, that is something that is going to be alarming and worrying, but we need to stay calm and we need to carry on, because worrying about it will only make things worse. Stay calm, look at what we are dealing with, and then have the intention of what shall we do? Shall I do this? Or shall I do that? Or shall I do this? Let's talk to my partner. Let me talk to the teacher. Let me Google it and figure out some things. Maybe I'll talk to a coach. Maybe I'll get some counseling about it. Maybe I'll buy a book about the topic. I have so many actions I can take based on my intention. That is because of this feeling that I'm getting regarding my son, because I am perceiving that he's not doing so well, or I am hearing from his teacher that he's acting a certain way. That is the best approach to go, rather than immediately jumping to, oh, the teacher said this and this and that. He's doing it at home too. What are we going to do about it? This is not good. Let's yell at the child, or let's change something immediately that might be harmful for him, or let's go ask a doctor. First, let's reflect and see what's happening. And let's look at all these options that are there. Moving from country to country is really complicated for the emotions and the well-being of the child. It's also very complicated for you as a parent. There's a lot of emotions that are involved in it, and we often don't have time to grieve and feel bad and feel the loss of the life that we had in the country that we were at before. We may be missing people. Like I said, we may be missing places and memories, and the move nowadays is so quick. We get on a plane, we move to another country, we have the house, we have double jobs, the children are at school, we are at our work. So it's really an ongoing, there's no moment to stop and to feel and to reflect on, why do I feel that way and where is it coming from? Doing this is extremely helpful, not just for you, but for your parenting, so that you can be more patient with the children. It's extremely difficult, but we can do it. And so that your child can watch you and hear you talk about this. You can role model it to your child, so they can see how you are doing it and how you are reflecting. And by doing so, they grow up to do the same thing. They grow up to now learn that when they see something, they can think something, and they can feel something, and they can change the thought again, so they can feel something else, so that they would have a different intention, and then they may have different intentions, and then they may have different actions to choose from. And that lesson can begin very early in life, so that children can learn to see things in perspective and not jump from thought to action. Yeah, it is important to listen to children's experiences and reflect back on them. So this is another note that I've written here for myself. Listening to your child speak, it is priceless. It is extremely, extremely important. When is the last time that you sat with your child and listened to him speak with open questions? Open questions. So how was your day today? They might say, good. Tell me about it. How are you feeling since we've moved here? Okay, tell me about it. I'd love to hear more about it. What's on your mind? Is there something I can do for you today to make you feel better? But I feel good already. Yeah, but I love you and I want to do something today to make you even feel better. Is there something that I can do for you today? Tell me, because I just want to. This kind of conversation where you connect with your child, look into their eyes, see into their soul, feel their emotions, and slowly build from there. Because often now children will shut you down in 2 words. Okay, good, no, thank you, because of the speed of life. And when you're an expat in another country, the speed is double, if not triple. to slow that down a little bit and to have time to listen to your child and to make your child feel heard, no matter what they're talking about. They might just want to tell you something about something at school or a picture they colored, and it'd be so nice to just sit and listen. Wow, you colored it red? I like red. Yellow, tell me about why you chose yellow. That's a nice color. Oh, you had this issue with Amy at school? What happened with her? What do you think she's feeling? How did you feel about it? Do you know that when I was a child, I once had this and this happen? Deep conversations that can start with a few minutes, and slowly we can build up on them to encourage children to speak to us, to connect with us, to share emotions, to reflect on the emotions, to talk about what they see, to talk about what they think, to talk about what they feel and how they intend to act. These are beautiful, priceless lessons in life. Is our current attitude helping us and helping our children? Is it? Because if our attitude is not helping us, and we are not feeling happy, and we are not feeling energetic, and we are feeling very frustrated, and we are feeling very rushed, and we are really exhausted, then there's something that needs to be changed. Not just because it's not good for us, but it's also because you have children who are watching you. They watch what you do more than they listen to what you say. It's what you're doing. They are interpreting the world around them from the reaction of the adults around them. So if they see you live your life this way, this will be their past. This will be their inner child that will need healing when they grow up. They will repeat and they will be injured from what they see us do. So if our current attitude is not helping us, and it's not helping our children, now is the time to take a look at it and think, I need to change something. Because if we keep repeating what we always did, we'll always get what we always got. It's as simple as that. If we want change, then we have to change something. And that's how it's done. Change comes with change. So unusual behavior on part of children is something that we need to understand. We need to look at it. We need to look back into our past. We need to understand why it's making us feel this way. We need to come back as neutral and then look at the child as complete and help them deal with this perception and their interpretation of that.